Hello everyone, welcome to Debbie's Designs. It's Sunday and I've been gone for a week and I'm back. And I'm so glad that you guys missed me. I had a lot of comments telling me that you missed me. I'm going to allow a couple more seconds here for everyone to jump in. Welcome everyone. Okay, I'm going to get started. So tonight I'm doing a Sunday share. And what I am doing is actually casing some projects from the annual catalog. And I know Lisa asked me what case was a little earlier. So I typed up this little document here. I always do the copy and share everything. So that means that I'm taking some actual samples from the catalog and I'm going to copy and share them with you. You can also copy and stamp everything, copy and steal everything, and then copy and selectively edit. Now, the last one means that you like something, you want to copy it, but you're going to apply a couple changes to it. So that's where the selectively edit comes in. So I've posted a picture on Facebook. And if you guys want to follow along, I'm actually going to be on page 128 of the annual catalog. I'm going to do the 4 cards plus the gift tag. So you're going to see these 5 projects tonight. We're using the Abstract Impression stamp set. This set has 21 stamps in it. And I'm going to show you, I have 4 left on my clear sheets here. That means I'm using almost every stamp image that's in this set. I'm also using the Springtime Impressions Thinlits dies, the 2 big ones. And then I'm using the Garden Impressions designer paper. This is 6x6 paper and there's 48 sheets, 4 of each design. I'm just going to quickly go through them if you haven't purchased these yet. They're all so pretty. A lot of vivid colors, a lot of the new colors. I love this one. And let me quickly, I'll flip it over just to show you what's on side number 2. So a lot of possibilities with these. Hi everyone that just came on, welcome. Okay, and then I'm going to introduce one project at a time and then I'm going to list what I need for those projects, but I'm just listing, showing you right now some of the projects that are on several of the cards. Now this is the metallic ribbon combo pack. Just want to show you, hopefully you can see the shimmer. There's like a little silver shimmer or clear shimmer in the ribbon. It's really pretty, so I'm using that tonight also. So let's get started on project number 1. This is the first card I'm casing, so I'm going to keep using the word case tonight so you guys will remember what that is. I've got sponge daubers. And we've got a lot of ink pads. So I'm using Call Me Clover, Petal Pink, So Saffron, and Calypso Coral. Let me just make sure. Those are the 4 colors we're using on this card. So let me get these opened up. So you guys are going to have to give me a chance between projects. I'm going to have to clear my counter and then reload with the next project. I'm sure you won't mind because you get to see me do 5 different projects tonight. Now to make things not so crazy, I've gone ahead and cut everything ahead of time. So for this card, I've got Calypso Coral 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2. This is the Petal Pink. That is 4 1/8. That's a weird measurement. 4 1/8 by 3 3/8. I'll show you why. It's very thin layer in between the white and the Calypso Coral. And then the white is 5 1/4 by 4. I've gone ahead and cut the die already in Whisper White. And then I've gone ahead and cut the stitch shape circle. This is circle number 2. That is about 2.5 inches wide. So that's all we need for this one. Now I want to talk about a little bit about this die. I don't have the precision base plate. So when I do mine, in order to get a clean cut, I have to put 2 shims. Now we've talked about shims in my previous videos. These are just cardboards from the back of your designer paper. I tried it with 1 first. It wasn't quite enough, so I've added 2 when I put it through my Big Shot. Okay, let's go ahead and fold the card on the score line. I'm going to go ahead and glue the petal pink. So it was really nice to come back after being gone for a week and read all the messages that you guys missed me. That was kind of sweet. Okay, now I'm going to bring in the Whisper White layer. Let me get my stamps. Now this is the little bold image of the cluster of flowers. I'm going to bring in the petal pink. And I'm just going diagonally with this one. Most of it is going to be covered. Okay, so just diagonally this way. Now I'm going to bring in the white die cut. Actually, let me glue this in place just so I won't get lost. Because we don't need to do anything else to the white layer. So you can see how skinny that layer just peeks out just a little bit to add a color in between both layers. I know you guys don't like fractions, a lot of you, so you probably cringed when I had the 1/8 measurements. Okay, now I'm bringing Calypso Coral. And all I'm doing, I want this to look like watercolor. So I'm not even going to sponge the whole flower. I'm just adding here and there, and I'm leaving some white space. Okay, so that's the Calypso Coral. Now I'm doing the So Saffron, same thing. Let me see, I did the little flowers with that. And one more right here. And then next is the petal. Is it petal pink? Yes, petal pink. That I'm using on the bigger roses. So you can see, isn't that neat how that looks? It's just here and there with a lot of white space. And lastly is the Call Me Clover. And I'm just going to do a little bit here and there on the leaves. And that's it. That's all we need to do for that. And this is kind of neat too. You can actually use this for a stencil. You could ink around it and then you get the definitive shapes there. Now I'm just going to add a couple drops of the glue. So I've heard from a lot of you guys that this is your favorite bundle. I'm a butterfly person. And of course there's a butterfly die that goes with this set that you'll see in my next project. So whenever there's something butterfly, either a stamp or a die, it's first on my list. Okay, so now this is just going to go over the stamping that I did already. Oh, Susie, you just got this bundle. You're gonna love it. The projects in the catalog to go with this bundle are just awesome. Okay, I've already gone ahead and cut my ribbon. So the petal pink one is about 11 inches long. And all I'm going to do is add a few glue dots. And I'm going to try to go in a straight line. So for those of you that have this bundle, if you're interested in doing this card later, you can just go back and view my video again. I'm going to start right here, make a loop, come down, and then come back up this way. Let me press this in place. And this will stay put once I add the sentiment in place. Now for the green one, all I did was shape it like the Cancer ribbon. And press that in place. And then I'm going to trim the ribbon afterwards. And then I'm going to bring in the Call Me Clover ink for the sentiment. Oh, Jewel, you like butterflies and dragonflies. Dragonflies are up there on my list too. Whoops, I almost threw that right on my screen. Okay, now I need Stampin' Dimensionals. And I'm going to try to place them outside of where my ribbon is so it doesn't get too bulky. So I'm just going to add 3. And then we're going to glue this right over the ribbon. And then all I need to do is trim the ends of the ribbon. Okay, and that's card number 1. Isn't that nice and colorful? But I love the way that this is sponged. You could actually cut this out with designer paper also, but it does look like designer paper. So that's card number 1. So let me get set up for card number 2. Actually, project number 2 is going to be the tag. And before I show you all of the supplies, I want to go ahead and stamp the vellum because we have vellum and I want to allow that to dry. And I just want to bring something dark here so I can see it. So I'm going to stamp the vellum and then set that aside and we'll do the rest while this dries. Ink does not dry as fast on vellum. Okay. Now the vellum measures 3 inches by 3/4 inches. Now for the tag, we have the same ribbon. This one is 11 inches long. The 2 pieces for the tag, so we have the designer paper and the Whisper White. 4.5 by 2. And let me get my scissors. Now, we no longer have the punch that punches this shape. That's retired. So we have to do this on our own. So I'm going to stack them together, cut, and then I'm going to use the little piece that I cut for a pattern on the opposite side. This will assure me that they're even. So let me stack this together again. Okay, so there's my tag. Now I'm going to punch a hole. The tag is really easy. And this is the butterfly that comes in the set. I've gone ahead and cut it out with the Mango Melody cardstock. I'm going to bring in the Mango Melody ink. And then all I'm going to do is stagger on the butterfly image. Actually, I should have been doing this twice. Let me get my scrap. Or actually, I'll do it right on here. I doubled up on the wing. So I'm stamping to get a lighter image. And then next I'm going to bring in the body of the butterfly. I'm just pausing for a second. My iPad just signed off, so I gotta bring it back up so I can see you guys. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do for the tag. I just stamped the butterfly wings twice and then I added the body. Now I'm going to add stamping dimensionals only to the left-hand side for now. Let's see if I can bring you guys back up. And then I'm going to line up the holes and then just put this at an angle like so. And then I'm just going to add one more dimensional right there. Next, we're going to glue the butterfly. Now, all I'm going to do is add glue to the body. I love this butterfly, it's so pretty. Okay, now what I'm going to do is bring in my little vellum that I already stamped. I'm going to make a snip in the center going up, and then corner to the snip and corner to the snip. Again on this side. So if you're using vellum, make sure you give it enough time to dry. I'm trying not to touch it right now because it could still be wet. I'm going to flip it over. I don't want my glue dots to be showing, so I'm going to add the glue dots right over the lettering. I'm going to add 2 of them. And you'll see when I press it in place, it won't show through. Okay, let me get my scrap so I can press down. And then all we have left to do here is to tie a bow at the top. So this butterfly can coordinate with several of the cards that I'm doing tonight. So happy Father's Day to any of the men that may be watching. I don't usually have men that watch, but I'll say it anyway, just in case. And maybe your hubbies or boyfriends are sitting close by. Okay, so that's project number 2. So let's move on to project number 3. So I don't think this is going to take me that long tonight because I have everything cut up ahead of time. Okay, so the next one, again, we have a card. This time we're using So Saffron. This one is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. The designer paper, which measures 5.5 by 3 3/4. I've gone ahead and used the die again and used the, I always forget this one, Mango Melody. I always want to say Merlot cardstock. And then the Whisper White measures 3 3/4 by 3 inches. So let's go ahead and I'm going to ink again the little flower bunch. I'm going to stamp off on my scrap. Stamp in the corner, stamp off on my scrap, stamp in the corner. Now I'm going to bring this little, I don't know what you call this. You guys need to tell me. We're going to use the mango. Stamp off on the scrap. We're going to do that 2 times. And then we're going to change to the Call Me Clover ink. Stamp on the scrap. And that one goes right in the center. Okay, now let me find my thank you. We're going to use the same color. So that's why we stamped off, because we want the color on color to show through. So there's thank you. See how that shows up against the lighter ink color? And then we're going to do the same thing with the Call Me Clover. Okay, now all we have left to do is to assemble. This card is really quick once you have the stamping done. They're all really, if you guys look at the catalog page and you think they look complicated, they really are not. They're really easy to duplicate. Okay, so I'm going to glue the designer paper centered. Okay, my paper's a little long on this side, so let me snip that. Kathy, you think it's a swish? I called it a swish, I think, last time I used the image, and I thought it sounded weird, so maybe I hope you're right. It reminds me of like the Nike swish, or Nike, I don't know what you call it. I think it's a swish too. Okay, now we're going to glue the die cut on here. Let me move it over just a tad. And then I'm going to bring in the green, the Call Me Clover ribbon. Go around the whole card. If you do this, make sure you go under the first layer, not around the whole card, because you won't be able to open it up. I'm only saying that because I've done that before. So I'm going to tie a bow more towards the left-hand side. I have glue on my fingers, hold on. Okay, there's my bow. And then this piece is going to go on with Stamping Dimensionals. Now I have my card for next Sunday, or my projects for next Sunday already. I'm going to do masculine themed set just like this, if everything goes well. And at 8:00 p.m. tonight, Eastern Time, you guys will see the list that you will need for Wednesday's class if you want to participate. Okay, and that goes right in the center. And that's card number 3. See how easy that one was too? Okay, let me set up for project number 4. Okay, this one uses Petal Pink. Oh, thanks for all the love, you guys. I hope you like the card so far. I had good examples to go by, so that helps. Petal Pink, 11 inches by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2. Whisper White, 4 1/4 by 2 1/2. This is a little strip for the sentiment that measures 3/4 inches wide. A piece of the designer paper that measures 3/4 inches wide, and we're going to trim that. And then I'm using an embossing folder at the top. Let me see if I can bring that closer so you guys can see it. It's really pretty. This is the Petal Pair embossing folder. They come together. This one has like little arrows, and then this one is the one with the blossom. So I'm going to use that one tonight. So let me set this aside so I can bring in my big shot. Now, one thing about these folders, they don't fit this way. So what you need to do is actually fold your cardstock in half. Put the folder in, logo side up, and I folded it towards the back, and we're gonna have to run it this way. It just doesn't fit the other way. Oops, hold on. I can show you one of my customers tried to run it through and see she ruined the top of my folder. It still works, but this is the best way to do it. Okay, I actually have to stand up when I'm doing the big shot, so it takes me a second to get back in place. So there's my embossing. Isn't that pretty? I love that. Okay, this time we're actually creating a row of flowers and with the foliage on the bottom. Let me go ahead and do the sentiment first. That's with Blueberry Bushel. Oops, hold on. I had ink on my fingers. I think I can still get away with using this one because I'm going to trim it anyway. Okay, so there's my sentiment. Let's see if I can sneak this in without that ink showing. I don't know if I'll be able to. No, it's going to show. That's okay. I'm going to keep going and I'll fix this later. I just have one little splotch of ink right there. Okay, now I'm going to bring in the Whisper White. Let me move some of these ink pads. And we're using Mint Macaron. Now the grass looks similar, or the petals. One is a little bolder than the other. That's the one I'm going to use first. I'm going to stamp off because I want that one to be lighter. Going to start in the middle. We're using the same ink color for both images, so that's why I'm stamping off. So see, that's the same ink color. You don't have to be fussy about where to line these two up. They just work well however you do them. Now I'm going to bring in the Petal Pink to do the blossoms. And then the smaller bunch that goes in the center of that with the Calypso Coral. Now this one you have to line up. So it's just a little speck on each flower. But isn't it neat how that little speck really makes the flowers come alive? Okay, and that's it on that one. Oh, a lot of you guys are cooking dinner or doing the dishes while you're watching. That is so funny. It's a lot later here, so I'm all done with that. It's nice that you guys are watching while you're doing that, though. Okay, there, I added my designer paper. About 1/4 of an inch from the bottom. Now I'm going to add the white layer. So I'm actually interrupting your supper or your dishes, but you'll get them done anyway. Okay, now I'm going to bring in some linen thread. And the linen thread is on a roll. It doesn't come that way when you purchase it, but I saved one of my rolls and I put it on a roll. I like it better that way. I don't like those flat inserts that the twine comes on. So I'm just going to make a small bow. And then we only have one project left already. Debbie, you make this look so easy. Well, that's because I have everything cut up ahead of time. And I'm not one that learns by following directions or reading. I can just look at something and create it. So that, I guess that part of it does come easy for me. And you'll see next week, I did copy another page from the catalog for the masculine cards. That gives you a hint what to go look for. And I did change up some of the papers, so. Okay, that's card number 4. One more to go, so let me set up for that one. This one uses a lot of stamp images. So if you have your catalog in front of you, you can probably tell which one I'm going to do. And it's the one with the mint macaron as the background. I've gone ahead and cut out the oval number, I think this is oval number 2. Let me measure the long side, which is about 2 7/8 inches, so almost 3 inches. And I excuse myself, this is not mint macaron. This is soft sea foam, 11 inches by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2. Like you, I'm still learning my colors. Whisper white, 4 1/2 by 3. Designer paper, 4 1/2 by 3. Now I'm going to show you how to cheat on this one. I didn't want to waste a whole piece of designer paper, so I had this piece left over and it was wide enough. I'm just going to cut it in half. I didn't even measure. They're probably not the same. And then I'm just going to glue them under. Nobody's going to know, right, that they're partial pieces. But first we're going to do the stamping. And I need the cluster again. And we're just adding a little bit at the very top and at the bottom. Call me Clover. And I'm just adding a couple leaves here and there. Oh, Rhonda, you wouldn't have considered this set, so I sold you on it, didn't I? I'm going to make you spend some money. Okay, that's all I'm doing for the flower, or the leaves. Okay, now we've got the flower image, which is the 3-step. What I did with mine, I used a permanent marker and I wrote the numbers on the back. So I've got step number 1, step number 2, and step number 3. Step number 1 is with the petal pink. I'm going to add 2 flowers. Step number 2 is with where's my ink pad? Calypso Coral. And if you look for this little bump, that's what you should be lining up. And then step number 3 is also, I'm also using Calypso Coral. And it's just going to darken it. So color on color, and it's going to darken that same color. Next is the little flower, which is just 2 steps. That's with the mango. I'm going to start with the bold, and I'm going to stamp on my scrap. I'm going to go across 3 times. And then I'm using the same ink color. And I'm lining up the 2 little bumps right there. So that's 3 of those. Before I glue my designer paper on, I'm going to add the ribbon around the whole piece. Oh, you like my numbering system? I do that mostly, let me make this longer. Mostly to help my customers when I have local classes, because you can actually see through the photopolymer and you can see through the clear block too, so it helps them. Now, the way that this card was made, the bows are really big, so I bring them out even with the cardstock. My scissors. Okay, and that's going to stay right there. I'm going to go ahead and stamp the sentiment, and that's with the blueberry. Oh, you guys should see my counter right now. It's a complete disaster. I'm actually glad you can't see it. Isn't that pretty? I love the sentiment in a lot of the sets we have this time. Okay, now because we have a lot of bulk in the center, we don't want to add any dimensionals there. So I'm going to just add one to the top and bottom. I'm actually going to bring in my bone folder and try to flatten out the knot. And then we're going to trim all that ribbon once I have this on. So this all goes like that. And then we just push this down. And then I'm going to trim the ends of the ribbon when I can find my scissors right here. And cut those at an angle. And I actually don't glue the designer paper to the back. I'm just moving some inks here so I can make myself some room. The designer paper actually goes all the way to the end. So I'm going to glue that to the card base before I add my white. And a good way to do that is using your grid. So I'm going to line that up with the dark line in the center. And I'm going with line number 2 and line number 2. So that's what this grid paper is a lot of times you can use that to do your measurements as you're either stamping or assembling your cards. And then this will be even. So I actually saved a strip of designer paper. I could have gone a little even skinnier on each end. And then once you have this in place, nobody knows that you cheated on the designer paper. So there's card number 5. So let me bring them all back in. There's 2, 3, 4, and then we have the tag to go with all this. Isn't that a nice assortment of cards? And this all comes from the catalog. So your catalog, when you guys are in a slump, your catalog is the best place to go for inspiration. Even if you don't have the same sentiments or same stamp set, you could use different flower images and then come up with something different. So what's up for this week? Oh, look at all the love. Thanks so much, you guys. So this week I have my class on Wednesday, Design with Debbie, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. You'll see the supplies you need listed on my Facebook page tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And then it's my monthly Friday folds on Friday, and that'll be at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And then we'll come back next Sunday and do something similar like this on a Sunday share. So I hope you guys enjoyed all my projects. I'm so glad you came and joined me tonight. Have a good night, and I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Thanks for coming by.